Hello and welcome to Supreme Commander Forge Alliance Forever. This is yet more coverage of the Spring Invitational hosted by Swackle. We're in the quarterfinals still. So let's see who we've got. We have Shinobu, better known as Yudi, and we have Nexus of Reality, the artist formerly known as. And yeah, they're both Seraphim. Map is Twin Rivers, chosen by Nexus as he has the higher seed. He gets the first map pick after some map vetoes went in from both of these guys. They both get to ban 3 maps. And then the higher seed gets to pick from the remaining pool of maps. And Nexus has gone for Rivers, a favored map for him, for sure, from what I've seen recently. So let's see what will happen. I mean, I know what to expect from Nexus. He will try to hit certain marks, which is a transport at a certain point. It's generally earlier than most people, and he'll also aim for quick T2 land, and that's really the two main things that Nexus aims for. I mean, you can get away with these things because of the nature of the map. Generally, you have some reclaim, you have most of the mass in your base, so that affords you the possibility of doing things other than simply spamming lots of T1 land, which is what many people don't understand about maps in Forge Alliance, and they make a million mexes in the middle of the map because they think it's better if most of the mechs are contested for some reason. Anyway, Nexus with a quick Selene, pretty quick Selene, watching for, you know, Selene's coming in to attack this engineer and this engineer at the back. This is the main, this is the first area of, you know, major vulnerability on Twin Rivers, and you see both players covering that position because, you know, there's a lot of engineers here, a lot of engineers in the back, and Yudi actually very quickly to the side expansion, which is not usual on Twin Rivers. Generally, people, this is one of the later expansions compared to this one here with the Hydra and the Mexes. So Yudi, this is a slightly different approach actually. He's really favoring expansion, but it looks like he's not building enough power to meet that. The problem is that you're building so many mass extractors. You can see that costs a lot of energy. And so making AP gen second air is probably, oh, and then a land factory straight after. He is actually going to finish the Hydra, so that's pretty good. Very quick Hydra, you can see much faster than Nexus, and also looks to be faster expansion, and overall kind of enjoy Yudi's plan here. I will say he is, his power production is a problem. He's actually building a factory back here. He's building a there's too many factories being built without any power being built, so maybe he's miscalculated how much he's going to get from the Hydra there and how much he's going to need to build everything he's trying to build. Another factory going up in this position, and here comes a bomber from Nexus, scouts this engineer, and the engineer goes down. You can see how much slower Nexus expansion is, by the way. Still way behind, still doesn't have the Hydra, still doesn't have these 4 mexes. So without the power problems, Yudi would be in a sick position in my opinion. This seems like I'm copying Yudi's BO, to be honest, and then just adding more PGen sets. This is mine now. This is going to be how I play Twin Rivers, because this is actually, I haven't seen a build with this quick expansion. So there goes another NG for Yudi though. He's getting bombed to crap here. 3 engineers go down. And because he had power problems, his Inti is only out now, which is obviously insanely late. And the Inti is not microed, so the bomber comes in and gets another kill. Will it get 2? No. Just one more kill. It's 4 NG kills. Micro begins, and the Inti needs to be microed as well to turn around. Bomber fails to get another drop away. And Nexus, as I said before, he gets that transport out just after 5 minutes. If you think that Yudi made his first Inti came out maybe at 4 minutes 30, Nexus has a transport 5 minutes later, for 30 seconds later. It's a bit of a major difference there. And now Yudi looks to be, well, unsurprisingly lacking engineers, because he did just lose 4 of them to a bomber. So definitely in some trouble, and it looks like Nexus has also done way better on reclaim. He's got 1,000 more reclaim. Yudi is still managing to take this, which is very nice for him. Still, his economy is struggling massively. Oof. I kind of want to switch out of his POV now. That's not pretty to look at. Nexus with T2 mechs, 58%, and he also just shuts down this raid totally, deposits some mass on his side of the map. This engineer actually missed the T2 transport. That's a bit of a mistake that did not need to happen. Nexus with a very low HP transport actually almost got shot down there, I believe. I'm not sure when that was under attack, but he drops 3 NGs and a tank crucially, so that if they do drop at the same time, Nexus has the upper hand there. But now, I mean, talking about the upper hand, Nexus is just closing in. Every single tank that he has is going to move in on Yudi's commander. He's getting blocked, and Yudi's units are all so far away. This looks like a potentially very sad end to the first game. I mean, how does he get out of this? There's so many Thams shooting at him now, plus the commander, and there's no way he gets out of range either. It's down under 2,000. His units finally arrive. The cavalry is here, and it's 400, 300, and Yudi goes down. Nexus with 9k HP, lost nothing there. Damn. Yeah, that's a sad end. Yudi is the old XD from Yudi. Yeah, that's an unfortunate game. I feel like his build, I wish I'd looked at it closer, because I'm not sure how he managed to expand faster. I mean, I guess here's the thing. He didn't build these mexes immediately. He aimed for the Hydra and he aimed for these mexes, so that's the difference, I guess. And actually thinking about it, that makes a lot of sense to me. But yeah, his ACU positioning and his unit positioning there, we clicked away from his economy because it was a bit painful to look at the overflow and the stalling. But I guess that's what he was fixing while his ACU was taking a stroll up the map with no unit in support. So, well, Nexus took advantage. He had intel on the area. So let's quickly open game number 2, and that's going to be on the ditch. The ditch has appeared in many series in this tournament, so it's fun to see the different approaches, because obviously there are 1,000,001 things that you can do on this map, because you can. There's just so many options when you have so many resources, really. That's the crux of it. So let's see how these guys approach it. Now, these guys seem like 2 players who would be extremely strong here, to be honest. So we got Nexus as Cybran, and Yudi is UEF. And this would be Yudi's pick. And I'd say that's a brave pick versus Nexus, but I like brave picks. I like brave picks a lot. I find that, well, you have to be brave. You have to believe that you can win. Yudi I'm sure he believes that he can take Nexus on this map, even though Nexus is a good player here. So let's see what their approach is. You can see Nexus has his build set out, so he's got, you know, a lot of P-gens, maybe what's that, 14, 15 P-gens total, and then he's going to build 3 factories, and then he's going to build some more P-gens afterwards. Bit of an assist order on the at the end, just to make sure his ACU doesn't go idle, and his ACU is always assisting, you know, a factory, probably the air factory more so, to get a transport out. Yudi on the other side, similar stuff. And actually, let's just point out very simply what the approach is in the opening of the ditch. If we boil it down, okay, let's take one step back. Build a factory in this direction towards this reclaim, right? On the other side, build a factory here towards this reclaim, and also make sure you don't build on trees, so your ACU doesn't start walking. Then first engineer goes to the mass, gets the reclaim. The next engineers, you only build engineers out of the land factory, and all they do is build P-gens with the ACU, and you try and build all the P-gens in such a way, and the factories in such a way, that the engineers don't have to move as they assist. So now, this is one of the problems with some manual reclaim, is that you can very, very easily overflow, but it's basically irrelevant, honestly. If you overflow a little bit of mass at the start of the ditch, I don't think it's any issue. What is painful is stalling. So Yudi probably could space out the reclaim orders a bit more. Probably, definitely should, but ultimately it's not a big deal. Also, I like this little grid. You can see once again the same approach. Engineers together, and they never have to move, and then you get your P-gens faster. Simple as that. And your build power is more efficient. So not moving with your build power in the opening while you're trying to get those P-gens and factories up is one of the critical parts of a good build on the ditch, and also a good build on other maps. Although it's more intense on the ditch, that does apply to every map essentially. Which is, I mean, it's a good thing to have in your mind, because the ditch is a very extreme map, and so it makes these things more intense and more relevant. But they are the same on other maps. You don't want your engineers walking around all the time, so like Nexus doing the same here. These two engines won't have to move. This one will, but these two won't have to move to build all the P-gens. So Nexus also going for the Hydro. He's dropping to the north with his transport. He's got a full transport as well. You want to leave the base with a full transport on the ditch, because there's no, again, it's all about build power. So you want options, and the more build power you have in your transport, the more places you can drop with more engineers. So you want to be dropping in multiple locations generally, unless you're going, you know, straight across the map. If you're going straight across the map, you might want to drop most of it on the other side, and then maybe drop one on your side. If you're dropping your side, you're playing in Nexus style, which is more safe and more about just taking your half the map and winning. Then, yeah, you want to spread your build power out, for sure. Is he gonna... I thought he was gonna bomb the transport, but no, he missed. And he missed all the engineers as well. So Yudi, I like the bomber. Bomber's very, very strong in the opening on the ditch, and we can see that, well, that did not work out. Very nice splitting of the engines. They're very far apart, and they get the factory up. Once the factory is up, you're pretty much safe, unless there's a counter drop coming to the same location very, very shortly, which doesn't look to be the case. Another bomber comes in, and there's 2 more bombers on the way in this direction. There's 3 bombers going to the south. Actually, there's one already here. So Yudi, with a very aggressive approach, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4 air factories, 2 of them making bombers, 1 making NG, 1 making transport. So, you know, who needs inties? That's Yudi's approach. He doesn't want inties. He doesn't want to shoot down transports. He wants to bomb the NGs that are dropped off the transports, which makes a lot of sense to me. Nexus, by the way, 5 minutes 30, and he's already like a quarter of the way through a T2P gen, by the way. Just want to point that out. Extremely quick. And this bomber, once again, you don't need to shoot down the transport if you can bomb it. And is Nexus actually trying to block the bombs with the transport, or what's happening there? Because the transport seems to move around very slightly towards the direction of the bomber. I'm confused. But anyway, now it is going to get bombed. And all the engineers are dead, and Yudi has 5 engineers, 2 factories in the area in Nexus expansion. And still the bombers are doing some damage. On the top side, there's also another proxy in the north, which has been spotted immediately, and I don't think this proxy will work, as we have 3, almost 4 factories, a lot of engineers here. So this proxy surely shouldn't work because it's spotted, but this is very, very good for Yudi in the long term. Now what isn't good for Yudi is that he's quite slow to the bottom side, but this is the cost of doing business. He does have more transports. Maybe this proxy here was not the best approach, but if it didn't get spotted, it could have been very annoying though. So I'm not really against it. I just think he's trying to do so much at the moment and actually struggling for mass. That is quite painful. Has to fix that. And he really has to fix it here in this expansion, I believe. One of these factories needs to just attack the move. You try and find the best positions where there's the most densely populated reclaim, which would be here, I'd say. And also, you know, here. And just aim for those. But still, there's so many transports. I don't know how he doesn't have enough engineers actually to use all the transports. That's actually the problem for him. He needs more NGs in the base, and well, perhaps everywhere, but certainly he has all these transports and he doesn't actually have build power to put on them. Drop to middle, one of the areas that is often forgotten about. Now on the top of middle there's no reclaim, there's only 4 mexes, and on the bottom there's actually quite a lot of reclaim, which you should not forget about. But having the top side means you can actually kind of, well, you can get some nice radars, you can set up a little base there, and it's 4 mexes, you know. That's a base basically in middle. You can also build some artillery to kill engineers that are you know, reclaiming below you. Nexus looks to be dropping quite late to Yudi's side with a very low HP transport as well. Nexus also has the top corner, which is quite a nice place to have, and this proxy has been cleaned up, unsurprisingly. There's so many bombers from Yudi, but now T2 Air and Corsairs from Nexus, that's what he's making out of this T2 Air factory. He stopped making T2 P-gens, and I question whether there's any time when you stop making T2 P-gens before you have a T3. I'm not sure if this is gonna hurt him soon, because he has 4 mexes upgrading T3 here, by the way. Just want to point that out. And so I don't think you can actually stop making T2 P-gens until you actually have a T3 P-gen, and he is struggling for power right now. That just shows you the level of scaling that's possible on this map. He's spamming Corsairs, he's spamming tanks everywhere, and he's upgrading 4 mexes to T3 at once, and we're at, you know, 9 minutes 30 at this point. Corsairs coming in, attacking this expansion, trying to soften it up for the proxy and the units that are going to come out of this base in the top corner. So, okay, there's a lot of random stuff. This is the chaos of the ditch, and Yudi is embracing the chaos and sending T1 bombers in every direction. One of the advantages of UEF is that their T1 bomber does more damage than any other T1 bomber. It does almost 350 damage, I think. If all the napalm is hitting the same place, then with the same structure, I believe it gets to maybe 347 or something. So it's very high damage. And yeah, these Corsairs still alive. T1 anti-air come out. Static T1A is being built. That's way too much, but yeah, that's definitely an overreaction. But yeah, the Corsairs now leave and search for other targets, but they haven't softened up. Actually, here come the Corsairs. Attacking T2 P-Gen in the base. A shield is being constructed. There are only 3 T2 P-Gens. That one's gonna die for sure. And now the shield goes up, but the shield can't be powered. There's not enough energy. And also these P-Gens are not under the shield right now. SAM being constructed extremely fast. Being rushed by a lot of the build power, and also T2 P-Gen being replaced. All the air factories are paused to bring the energy sold back under control, and now we're going to see another T2 P-Gen. Maybe one more would be good before the T3, in my opinion. I think he's going to need it. Even with this much overflow, with loads of stuff paused, you might still want to make another T2 P-Gen, to be honest. But as it is, Yudi is busy. There's now units have arrived in the base. We said that Nexus was trying to soften this up, and now the Mantis have arrived. This proxy is still being constructed, and Nexus putting pressure on in the north. Now in the south, there's no such thing as pressure here. There's just Yudi in control of this entire expansion, and now he's going T3 land. I want more engineers on the T3 land factory, because that is going to be just devastating to stop. I mean, if we look at Nexus, well, he has T3 air, he has a T3 P-Gen. These T3 mexes are finished, by the way, and he's not heading to T3 land, though. That's surprising to me. Nexus also, in terms of long-term stuff, he has a navy. Yudi with no navy whatsoever, so Yudi in a bit of a tough spot. He's lacking mexes that he should have. He's struggling big time to stabilize. I think he should aim for factories here and just try and take them out, because the factories are the main thing. Like, once the factories are gone, the units will eventually be gone. You can clean up the Mantis that are around now. Like, if you think about it, okay, out of these factories we have 9 Mantis. That's not a big deal. The big deal is 6 factories. So probably he should just go after the factories and the engineers, and then clean up the Mantis afterwards. We see T3 air for both players. They both have some ASF now. And Yudi, finding a place to make some navy. But actually Nexus is here with frigates. Yeah, he's searching for the naval production that might be built to, because yeah, the front spot where you generally build navy is obviously totally covered by frigates already and empty of naval production. T3 land on the way. Huge power stall as the second T3 P-Gen is taking far too long to build, actually, and he's really struggling for power. And like, if you think about it, he's like, one T3 P-Gen is going to give him 2,500. He's stalling 4,000, so he needs an immediate third P-Gen, and then straight after that he's going to need a fourth one straight away. So that's well, again, it just shows the level of scaling necessary on this map. Nexus with 2 T3 P-Gens. I think he has a lot more power in terms of lower tech P-Gens, so 2 for him. Yeah, it's still not enough. He has 11,000 mass in the bank. But he's done well putting a lot of pressure on here, and he still has all these factories. He can probably afford to make more factories here on Yudi's side. And there's a strap bomber. 2 strap bombers, in fact. And I'm wondering what they're going to do, because they have stealth on them. They seem to be in a position where he's waiting for a good target. Look at all these T1 bombers from Yudi. It's kind of ridiculous. I wish he had killed the factories before this, because killing the Mantis is giving a man a fish, and killing the factories is teaching a man to fish, I think. Terrible analogy, but there you go. T3 Nexus from Yudi. Let's see. Yeah, still stalling hugely. Just permanent power stall for Yudi, sadly for him. And Nexus somehow just dumped 12,000 mass out of his bank. I don't know how he did that. It's probably mass extractors, right? Oh, well, he does have T3 land now. And a couple of bricks, so that's actually... Yeah, that's a major sink. He's actually got a mech's not ringed. And yeah, Nexus looks to be in a really good position, but the real worry is obviously here. But still, I think T3 land is taking a really long time. And there's only one Percy out for Yudi at the moment. We're at 15 minutes. And Yudi now, the one struggling hugely for mass. As he hasn't got this mass. He has gotten the plateau, but he hasn't got, you know, there's a lot of mass here to be taken. And a lot of mass in some of the other areas, critically. That he really needs to take immediately. Otherwise he's going to be in a world of hurt. And of course, the top expansion, he hasn't been stable enough there to actually be able to gather the reclaimant there in relative peace. So big mass struggle for Yudi, and he's actually making kennels, which is nice. Yeah, Yudi with a nice T2 army. He's got some mainly pillars here. There's also a few riptides. He's got T2PDs going. I'm not sure how good the T2PDs are though. Seems like they seem like they're in the middle of nowhere. Here comes an air fight, and I wonder how Yudi's gonna do. Oh my god, the T3 HQ is dead. He made maybe 2 Percys, and strategic bombers came in and just killed the T3 land HQ. And now the T3 land factories are also going to go down. The support factories under attack. This whole proxy may die to strap bombers. I mean, I don't see anything that's going to stop that. There's no SAM in the area. There's no mobile anti-air of any kind. And without the proxy, I mean, look at the top side. This is Nexus's base now, and the air still just continues to essentially try to slow down the army. But now we have T2 factories in this position. We're gonna see flak come out. Here's a flak, and that's gonna deal with the gunships and certainly the T1 bombers. And still, Navy is an issue. All these naval factories actually were constructed, and we see some dead Navy, and all the factories are also dead. And Nexus looks to be in a fantastic position here. The flak is going to do the job, but the ASF can do it even better. And yeah, this whole expansion is for Nexus now, and he can, you know, start making T3 support factories on Yudi's side and really put a huge amount of pressure. I mean, without T3 land, more. Yeah, the strats have just been going to work on the support factories. And Yudi still has a decent army. Nexus with only Medusa. So it's very difficult to see what Yudi does from here, because on the as well as that, I mean, Nexus has fantastic amount of T3 eco, 13 T3 mexes, and he begins to push. And then look, there's still a lot of reclaim in this base that he's just destroyed for Yudi. That's all his now. All that reclaim that Yudi was not able to find time to take. So it looks extremely good for Nexus now. Mainly thanks to the sniping of the T3 land HQ. That was critical, because without this pressure from Yudi, I mean, this was Yudi's trump card here, was the potential to get to the base with T3 land put a lot of pressure on here, force Nexus to really react heavily to that. And well, I guess Nexus did react heavily, and Yudi wasn't ready for the strats. Didn't have a SAM up, didn't have T3 mobile anti-air. Now he's under the same pressure, or worse, that he was trying to put Nexus under. So let's see what the air is like, because, you know, there could be a potential for an air win. Oh, okay, that's a... How's he using so much power? How's he going to minus 12k? Oh, it might be the kennels, actually. Yeah, it might be the drones. Maybe they're just... Oh, that's... Okay, yeah. SMD is one of the things with the low build time that will actually tank your eco very quickly. Yeah, let's see how much air Yudi has. 33 versus 42. So, yeah, Nexus in the lead in that regard. Nexus now with bricks coming through the water, and they're going to come out of the water very soon and start putting pressure on. Also, Salem's and more so cruisers in the areas and doing damage to these mexes at the back of the base. Dying for Yudi. He is not able to protect those. He does have some T3 land again. Has replaced his HQ at home. And is trying to use gunships, bombers, and Percys to defend himself. But it looks like he will lose another mex. That's for sure. And there's only more pressure coming, really. Bit disappointed that Nexus doesn't make support factories in this position. As in higher tech ones, he does have two T2 that make flak, but could make some T3. There's a nuke defense finished, but there's no nuke from Nexus that I can see, unless there's one in this position. No, there isn't. Unless there's one hidden somewhere else, but no, there isn't. So nuke defense probably not, well, not a good idea for Yudi. I mean, Yudi's still, that's quite close on mass, to be honest. 20k behind is a lot. That's true that it is a lot, but somehow I am surprised that it's that close given the situation. So Yudi's, you know, well, the man knows how to eco, that's for sure. But the pressure is huge, and he's lost so much eco here at the back now. He's lost this mex as well, and there's bricks heading towards this expansion where there are no T3 land factories and there are no PDs at the moment. T1 PD coming up. He needs T2 immediately, and a shield, I would say. Yudi says too weak. He says too weak, and yeah, look at this T3 land army. Nexus is going to clean everything up here. There's some support factories coming up, and those are going to die before they're able to complete any units. Yudi asks how many T3 mexes. 14 says Nexus, so he has kind of stopped ecoing, because we saw 13 T3 mexes not that long ago, or well, actually not, well, quite a while ago actually. That's what I mean to say. Yudi says airfight, then I leave. Yudi with 9 T3 mexes. And here's the airfight. We already saw that Nexus had more, and I think he still does. Yudi even tries to bring in some gunships here, hoping they might tank some shots. I don't think they are though. And yeah, Yudi loses the airfight as well. Insult to injury. And Yudi throws in the towel. He did not expect to lose here so hard. I think it was actually surprising how close it still was, at least in terms of resources. But in terms of position on the map, I mean, there's no question that the game's over. and had looked quite bad for Yudi for a while. The strap bombers on the HQ were huge. I think that really took the sting out of everything that was going on here. The never cleaning up certain, like say these factories at least, was a problem, and not getting, you know, Yudi not getting his own. He basically never stabilized the north expansion, so he didn't get PDs or T3 land production, or even really much T2 land production that I could see. Or much land production at all. There were very few factories here, very few defenses, and the air units sent here didn't deal with the problem, only really slowed Nexus down a bit. But ultimately, he broke through. And, well, elsewhere, certainly some serious power stalls from Yudi. Just a bit slow on the T3P gens, and that obviously hurt everything else going on the map. So I mean, the pick made sense here, because I think Yudi got himself a good position, but maybe just Nexus made fewer mistakes for sure, and played very well. So that was a nice game. That makes it 2-0 to Nexus in this quarterfinal, and Yudi's in a really tough position now, as he has to win 3 games in a row against Nexus to stay in the tournament and carry on to the next round. So let's see what he can do. There's one more game, and it is must win. Alright, so we're on Rusting Iron Roundel, so I guess Nexus would have chosen this map. So that's the sequence. He gets the first map choice, then Yudi, then Nexus again, so only makes sense. And he's chosen a 5x5. Nexus obviously very proficient on 5x5 maps. And both players end up with Seraphim. I don't know what faction they banned here, to be honest. Did they? So I'm surprised they both end up with Seraphim, because I think Seraphim is very good here. I think this is a good map for them. So it should be an interesting game. Second air from Yudi planned. I'm sure he's going to be making a bomber. If you go second air on a 5x5, you have to make a bomber. Them's the rules. So, second land from Nexus. Quite a lot of mass in this map. 6k, over 6k in reclaim. Very spread out, all in 10 mass rocks. And we have tons of mass extractors. So you're gonna need a lot of factories to spend your resources on this map, that's for sure. And you're going to need quite a few NGs to build all those mexes and get the reclaim, so pretty fast scaling. 5x5, but also lacking in options. Difficult to attack in most areas, as there is a lot of terrain. Generally, we'll see PDs on either side of the map, which will make the game quite static. But not so static that you can really afford to do too many interesting things. So yeah, not really a sweet spot to be in for a map, but there you go. So Nexus with quicker expansion to to this area. Here comes the bomber, and this raid. Yeah, this engineer looking vulnerable. Where are the tanks to defend? There's one tank in this area, but no tank in the other. And the bomber actually goes after the tank here. Really? Doesn't seem like a good approach. And here we have a Tham versus a Tham and Celine. The Celine for this guy already died. And so now that's going to be quite nice for Nexus. He may raid both areas. Bomber comes in, kills an engineer next to the ACU, and turns around for another pass. This engineer goes down. This engineer also goes down. And that's a second kill for the bomber, as an inti is 70% complete. Actually, oh, there's one inti already out, and it's the bomber. Oh, the bomber actually gets another pass here, which Nexus is not going to be happy about. 6 HP. It actually kills. The hell, did it kill like 3 units there? Or that was strange. It definitely killed a Celine and an NG. I don't know what else though. Maybe it killed 2 NGs and a Celine. But yeah, quite nasty raids. All the engineers seem to die in the base for Nexus mainly, whereas Yudi lost his 2 most well, the 2 engineers he had furthest away from his base, so it stands to reason that they're going to take the longest to replace, basically. So the ACU steps in on this side to fill the void, and now there's a bomber coming after the engineer that has replaced the one on the north side. Bomber does not drop. A bit of micro attempted but failed. But Nexus controlling air completely. Has 2 inties now with veterancy. Still has the bomber. Denies all the mexes here. And the bomber looking for another target potentially. Oh, the 2 engineers in the base that are building factories go down. There's also a bit of reclaim there that died. And this bomber searches for more kills. Maybe a ground fire in between these two would be brutal, but oh my god, that's actually even better. He kills an NG and 2 Zooies. Look at this, 7 kills, 370 mass killed, and the bomber still lives. The intis just came in and killed another inti there, and another bomber to the north now kills the expanding NG. And oh, this is absolutely disgusting damage from Nexus. Yudi in such a bad spot. 8 kills on this bomber, by the way. Inti comes out. Will it be able to kill the engine? Will it be able to kill the bomber? It's now out of range. There's 3 bombers flying around now. The Inti gets away from the other 2 Intis. And that bomber finally goes down. But there's still 2 more. Inti goes down. Still 2 more bombers, and Yudi is against a comm and some units. He's completely alone. Still does not have the north expansion. Loses another engineer there that's trying to expand, and these engineers building the factories are going to die. And he kills the mechs and hits the Tham. And I mean, this is terrible for Yudi. 2 more engineers die. Ah. Oh, physical pain right now. That's what I'm feeling. No. Now the P-Gen's finally under attack. Haha. Yes, I'm sure that was... I didn't believe... Oh my god, there go the P-Gens. Yudi says, honestly, I'm genuinely pissed off. Yes. Yes, I fully understand. This is a hard one. And yeah, there's really... It's just over. I mean... Oof, look at that. Look at that eco bar. Yeah. Yeah, Yudi not happy with his performance here, which makes a lot of sense. I think he is definitely capable of a stronger play. I mean, especially in this game. I mean, I don't know how Nexus did so much damage with bombers, but yeah, still well played to Nexus. And Nexus goes through 3-0, so super strong performance. He did very well, especially on the ditch. I think that was obviously the closest game. The first and third games were not so fascinating, but the ditch was a very, very nice game. And yeah, this was enjoyable to cast and most of the time. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy, and I will continue to provide playoff coverage of this fantastic tournament. Now, if you want to see the finals casted, you should go to twitch.tv/faflive, FAFLIVE, and see me and Swackle cast the bronze match and the final. And you can also find VODs for previous rounds with other casters, with Swackle, with ArchSimCAD, with the duelists. And I hope you'll head over there and do that, and also check out FAF Live in the future when there's tournaments and other things on there. So go follow them, and I will see you very soon for another video. Goodbye, guys.